Hey, it's Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk to you about diminishing returns in ICOs and failed ICOs and how this is starting to become a trend as there are more and more ICOs coming down the pipeline, and how you are definitely not guaranteed for success with ICOs necessarily anymore, and how in a lot of cases you're probably better off just keeping your money in Bitcoin or keeping your money in Ethereum, and how you can specifically use past and previous data that I want to talk about that can hopefully help you out a little bit more in the future. And before I hop into that, guys, I just want to say thank you to all of you, whether you're watching this video right now and you're a subscriber or not. 20,000 subscribers, pretty crazy to me that there are 20,000 people in the world that give half a crap about anything I have to say. So I just want to say thank you and really appreciate everything you guys have done and the community that's been built, whether you've been watching on YouTube or reaching out on Twitter, commenting, or whatever it is. I really appreciate it. Earlier today, too, I just dropped a little bit of a joke video as well, kind of got away from the serious commentary about how to become a BitConnect millionaire, these simple steps. If you haven't watched it, it is 100% a parody, but some people loved it, some people hated it, kind of exactly what I thought was going to happen. Click the little link above if you haven't watched it yet, and if you want to come try to take the BitConnect house down, I'll be defending the Real Crypto wall with Kevin McAllister on Home Alone, so thank you guys. But let's hop into it. So I saw this article last night on why most ICOs fail. It's from this guy, Eric Risley. It's on Hacker Noon. And then Carter Thomas, who runs the Coin Mastery YouTube channel, which is another really great channel. I enjoy his commentary. He has really good macro thoughts. I'll link to it up here as well. If you never watched him, he's a good dude. He sent this out on Twitter and talked about how only 31% of ICOs have outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum since their launch dates. And then we had a little bit of a conversation back and forth. And I thought that number, and in my opinion, that number is getting lower and lower and lower because of the quantity of ICOs and also because of how picky people are getting with ICOs. So that's really what I want to talk about today is, outside of just the overall day-to-day market movements today, outside of, Stellar Lumens being up big time on an IBM partnership and Salt being up pretty big on getting added to Bittrex. Those were, in my mind, the two biggest movements of the day. Outside of that, let's talk about these ICOs. So the first thing, getting into this Hacker Noon post, which I will link to in the description below as well as in a pinned comment below, but it talks a little bit about the number of ICOs and what's basically happened over the past 6 months. And it talks a little bit about Smith & Crown and token data and goes about what they consider to be successes and failures of ICOs. Now, when they talk about successes, they talk about basically ICOs that are trying to raise a specific amount of money that are able to meet that goal over the course of the time frame. So let's say, for example, if an ICO wants to raise $20 million over the course of a month. If they raise $20 million, that's a success. If they raise $10 million, that is a quote-unquote failure. And the really interesting thing here is the distribution of success rate and how it's changing into, how this is moving into not the best path for ICOs. So, and this is something that I've seen over time and I've talked to people about. I've tried to talk a lot about it. But back in June when, you were participating in ICOs, maybe I know I was participating in ICOs. I got in on the Status ICO. I got in on the Civic ICO. I tried to get in on the 10X ICO. I did not get in because my transaction literally didn't go through because it sold out of $80 million in the course of 10 minutes, which is absurd, but it did. You can see here, so let's look here. So in June of 2017, so not that many months ago, June of 2017, about 92%, according to this data from Architect Partners, who are the people that put this together, 92% of ICOs hit their goal. Only 7% missed the goal. In September, through the month of September, 34% of ICOs actually hit their goal, and 66% did not hit their goal. So you could see that number went from the vast majority of ICOs hitting their goal, raising the amount of money they wanted to raise. Typically, if you're thinking at Bancor, Status, 10X, Civic, those those were done in like a matter of minutes or seconds in a lot of cases. Now you have these companies that are literally like scrounging and begging to hop into ICOs, and even the ones that have hit from an ICO perspective or hit their goal haven't necessarily performed to the level that you would hope as an investor. So we can see a lot of these ICOs that stick out in my mind that I even participated in. You have OpenANX. I participated in a little bit of that. District OX, DNT did well. Manetha was a big one that has been an absolute dog. Kin has not turned out great for a lot of people. Black Moon Crypto, unfortunately, hasn't turned out that great. So I want to talk about how I think the market or the mentality of the market in a lot of cases is shifting now, and how you can look at a lot of this data from tokendata.io, because it's really easy when we hop into tokendata.io to look at these advanced returns. So we'll click on advanced, we'll look at these returns here, and the easy thing to do is so let's look at, I'll sort by the token return percentage from top to bottom. Now, you can look at this and you could see certain things like Stratus have gone up 411 times. Something like ARK has gone up 275 times, or AntShares has gone up a ridiculous amount. But the interesting thing here is, if we're looking, and granted, a lot of this is, in my opinion, due to the rise of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but if you look at this, the vast majority of these cryptos have not been recent ICOs. You can see SpectraCoin January of 2017, Stratus well over a year ago, ARK, ARK almost a year ago, AntShares over a year ago, Komodo over a year ago, Lisk over a year ago, Metal more than 6 months ago. There really hasn't been any, at least for these massive, massive returns. A lot of these have not been recent ICOs. Probably the biggest the largest return of any ICO very recently, you're looking at Omise Go OMG, which was 24x returns, which is incredible in and of its own right. But outside of that, a lot of these ICOs have not been that recent. You have Neblio doing well as well. But what I want to look at too is, from a return perspective, how these have done from really the most recent ones. And as you're looking at this, what we can see here in a lot of respects is, many of these ICOs, or a good number of the ICOs that have taken place in the past few months, if I sort that by month, when these launched, a good number of these, some of them have done well, but a good number have really not come close to where you would hope they would be, and they haven't even kept their value. So that's kind of one of the big things that I want to talk a little bit about here too, is that within an ICO, obviously, almost everything in crypto is a speculative bet at this time. You're trying to pick the crypto you're most interested in, or you think that has the best chance, technically speaking, of success, whatever it might be. But a lot of these are really, as of the past, let's say October, September, and even August, a lot of these ICOs, not only are they not generating the returns that you used to be able to see, where that not only are they not generating the returns that you used to be able to see, they are not even breaking even in a lot of respects. So we could look at just recently. You have Air Token, Kin. I don't think the data is actually accurate here, but I don't believe Kin is even a break even at this point in time. But Enigma is not break even. Black Moon Crypto is trading at about 83% on the dollar of what it was previously. And kind of continuing to go down. Some of these have traded nicely upwards, but a lot of them have not had the level of success. Manetha, which is like my biggest dog ever and one that I invested in, Manetha was actually up 3x and is now back down to about 55, 56 cents on the dollar of what it used to trade at. Stocks, which was a big, heavily pumped ICO. Floyd Mayweather tweeting about it, trading at less than half the value that it raised. Decentraland, OX or District OX obviously doing well. But the one big thing here, at least in my opinion, as you look through this information, as you go down these charts, is that you really need to be selective in terms of the ICOs that you participate in, and understanding that you can easily lose quite a bit of money if you participate in ICOs that don't end up holding their value and doing well. You can even look from the perspective of a lot of this, and I think token data, quite frankly, has some inaccuracies in its data, and it's not always perfect. But the big thing that you want to understand is not only, like, let's say here, Air Token, or we can even use, we'll scroll back down to Manetha, and we'll look at this. So not only is Manetha down, about 56, it's 56% of what it was when it ICO'd. It ICO'd at about 18 cents. It's now at about 10 cents. With that being said, if you invested in Bitcoin at that point in time, or if you invested in Ethereum at that point in time, you would have made, your money would have held its value a lot better. And while a lot of people are trying to build their Ethereum stacks, build their Bitcoin stacks, whatever it might be, or just hit that next OMG, I think the chances are a lot smaller and smaller and smaller to find those gold mines of the next Omise Go or the next AntShares Neo or whatever it might be. And some of this might be due to the fact that simply these companies haven't had the amount of time to generate the return on investment that something like a Stratus has had or an Arc has had, since those were around since 2016 and had the benefit of moving with the Bitcoin market or the Ethereum market. But at the same point in time, I do think that due to the number of ICOs on the market, the number of new tokens, people are being a lot more selective when it comes to just like overall human psychology. Like, think about it for a second. If you're investing in something and you just see that it has no steam behind it, the ICO doesn't go well, and from there you aren't able to generate the returns that you want, people are very quick now to pull the plug, get out of that position, sell the bags, and move on to something else. Whether it's another ICO or they're just mad because they got burned and they want to put that money back into Bitcoin or back into Ethereum. That is happening more often and more often, in my opinion, and it's something that I am noticing. Now, how can you, in that respect, how can you avoid the diminishing returns of ICOs? Well, I think number one, ICO research is really, really important, and this is something that's difficult to even to go through, because if we hop over to Smith and Crown, there are God knows how many ICOs, and there are God knows how many ICOs, and there are very, very, very few that are really worth your time and money. So that's something that you really want to be aware of, because many of these ICOs that are listed on Smith and Crown are going to fall into this red category of missing their goal. I guarantee you of that. The vast majority, this trend is going to continue to happen and continue to happen. The vast majority of these ICOs are going to start moving into the red here. In this Hacker Noon post like that, of the side that does not hit their ICO goal, and then therefore takes a dive once it hits the marketplace, whether that is Ethereum or whether that is whether that's something else. So definitely something to keep in mind there. Now, also, in addition to that, when you are doing your research, try to, in my opinion, for me, the best thing is, due to the volume of ICOs that are out there, I lean on a lot of other people to try to provide that research to me, and then I use those individuals as a filter. So there are a lot of people that I know, trust, and they've made good calls on ICOs in the past. So I'll lean on them to understand their research in more depth and make better decisions based upon them. So instead of going on Smith and Crown and reading through, let's say, freaking 100 ICOs, I'll reach out to some of my buddies that have done well on ICOs in the past and say, what are the best 5 ICOs that I should consider in the near future? They'll mention that, maybe 4, 5, 6, whatever it might be, as many as they know, and then I'll do my due diligence on those ICOs and see, maybe this is one I want to participate in, maybe this is one I don't want to participate in. But you need a filter out there, because unless ICO investing is your full-time job, going through Smith and Crown and going through so many of these ICOs is a huge pain in the ass. Now, whether it's just going on Reddit or trying to find some information, just take everything with a grain of salt, because I saw a Reddit post today talking about the top ICOs for October or whatever it might be, or of this week. And there were so many people in the comments just saying, oh, so-and-so is an easy 20x return. So-and-so is this, so-and-so is that. I don't think there's anything of an easy 20x return on investment anymore in ICOs. And I think you can really see that, especially with some of the bigger ICOs that have gone on. They have definitely not done as well as a lot of people would have hoped. And that has changed the landscape of ICOs. So overall, my thought process now is that you have to be increasingly selective on the ICOs you participate in. Just do your research, do more research, and then do more research on top of that, because there are more ICOs happening. There is, not that there's less money flowing into the space, but people are being more selective about what they're putting their money in. They have more options than they did previously. So your ICO has to be pretty damn good and pretty damn exciting for you to generate the returns that previously people have expected and come to expect within ICOs, or hope to expect within ICOs. So that's definitely something to consider in the future. If you have questions on initial coin offerings, ICOs, I would love to hear your thoughts on how you've been successful with ICOs, maybe how you've gotten burned on ICOs. I would really appreciate your thoughts and what you're thinking from an ICO perspective. This is obviously just my general thought process on things. I am still looking to participate in initial coin offerings in the future. I'm still looking to invest in ICOs. All I'm saying here is that the failure rate for ICOs is increasing. People are being more selective, and you just have to be aware of that before you throw your hard-earned money into anything that doesn't deserve it. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation on ICOs and just generally speaking on the crypto markets. If you are new here by any chance, my name is Crypto Bobby. I hope you found this helpful. I would really appreciate a subscribe if you are new here. I do daily videos on the subject of cryptocurrency, as well as Crypto Happy Hour, where I walk through on a YouTube Live, talk about what's happening in the world of crypto and how hopefully you can be more successful, and I can try to pass along some of my knowledge and hopefully absorb some of your knowledge as well, because I think this is really a community a community effort. I am not an expert, a community effort as far as things are considered. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for your time. Rob from Crypto Bobby signing out. Peace.